Welcome to Truest Blood, the official True Blood podcast.
I'm Kristen Bauer.
And I'm Deborah Ann Wool.
And you've been invited in.
I want to do bad things with you. On Truest Blood.
Welcome back to Truest Blood, where we sink our fangs into the series bite by bite.
We're very excited to be talking to Britt Morgan today. She is a lovely human being, and her work as Debbie Pelt still sends chills down my spine.
We'll talk about her experience bringing the troubled werewolf to life and what it's like working with animal co-stars.
I know. I can't wait to talk to her. She's our first werewolf.
She's our first werewolf. And she had these incredible fight scenes and such an incredible arc on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, and for such a wild, character on the show, her actual personality is just the most inviting.
The most inviting, genuine, lovely, funny, sweet person. It's going to be good. But first, let's have a quick bite.
One season in the life of Sookie Stackhouse. As we know, Sookie has been through a lot these past 3 seasons. We thought it might be time to tally the numbers, see what the data tells us. So let's break out those calculators for Stackhouse stats.
Season 3 takes place over just 9 days. For some context, Season 1 was 16 days plus 2 weeks, and Season 2 was also 9 days, starting this season at day 39.
So Bill's proposal comes in at 39 days into their young relationship. But when you know after 5.5 weeks of dating, you just know.
However, Bill and Sookie break up just 2 days after the proposal, then again 5 days after the proposal, and a third time at the end of the season, 9 days after the proposal, making a grand total of 7 breakups in the almost 7 weeks since they've known each other.
Sookie also kills Lorena this season, which ups her total kill count to 2, but her overall encounters with death returns to par, starting with 5 in Season 1 to a scant 2 in Season 2 and back up to a respectable 4 deaths in Season 3.
Surprisingly, Sookie spends only 3 days in Mississippi, in which she gets a makeover, goes to a werewolf party, is kidnapped by a vampire king, reunites with her best friend, saves her boyfriend, kills his ex, and ends up in a coma.
She spends less than 10 hours in said coma, as far as we can calculate, which might be the most uninterrupted sleep she's gotten since the beginning of the series. And the final 3 days of this season, she is easily up for at least 72 hours straight.
Maybe she's just born with it, or maybe it's the vampire blood. Today, we are talking to Britt Morgan, who is a powerhouse of an actor. She's been on so many wonderful shows in iconic roles: Riverdale, The Boys, Supergirl, Graceland, The Middleman. She is also a producer and a director.
Yes, and her portrayal as the werewolf Debbie Pelt is fierce and vulnerable. It's brave and subtle, it's physically intense, and it's also deeply romantic. It just spans the gamut.
It doesn't. And sadly for us, she was on the series for 2 full seasons. I never worked with her. Deb barely worked with her. And we both just want her to be our friend because she is so wonderfully authentic. So enjoy this interview.
Hi, Britt. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see your faces.
I'm so happy to see. We've been seeing your face
That's
because we've been
wild.
watching the show.
We have. We've been seeing your face all over.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. Do you watch the full episodes? You go through, you're watching the full thing. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're through season 4.
Yeah.
So we've had 2 wild seasons of Debbie Pelt. Just
Oh
the
my God,
greatest.
she is
It's
wild.
so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna.
Yeah, you're representing the werewolves. Yeah.
We
haven't had a werewolf
on yet.
We've had a shapeshifter.
Oh my God.
So we're gonna get some of the inside werewolf scoop from you, hopefully.
Oh my gosh, I would be honored to be your first werewolf representative. I was just thinking about the whole thing yesterday, like getting in the zone, and it was so cool how they had the real wolf hybrids. Like they weren't husky, like they weren't any kind of dog. They were real wolves that we used. That was cool.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait to hear all about that. But we generally like to start because everyone has a story. How did you get the job? What was your casting experience like?
Oh my gosh. Yes. So this whole thing was a flat out miracle for me. Like I was 22.
I was going to say,
and I went from,
like me, we were young.
Yeah, I was super,
right?
We were young. So this was like beyond a big break. Like I can't even, the whole thing was like just an actual dream come true. So I had one series under my belt on ABC Family, but I hadn't worked in about a year. So I got this series. It only lasted for a season. It got canceled, and I hadn't worked for about a year. And it was the good old fashioned casting. I got a call back, and okay, that's coming back to me. You know, it's been a second, but okay. So I got the producer session, or was the producer session the original? I don't remember, but either way, Alan Ball was in the room, and I dropped all my lines, and I was there, I was in it, but I get nerves. Nerves is a thing for me, you know. And I dropped so many lines, and I was like, it was still good enough to be okay, but it wasn't clean. And, you know, and I remember leaving being like, well, you know, what can you do? And, I got a call back, and my manager said, listen, he says, you're one of the top few.
Wow.
And you just gotta clean it up. And then I got to go back again. And at this point, the competition was very steep because I had almost no credits. I'm 22. Everyone's like, who is this person? But I cleaned it. Somehow I got that job.
Wow.
Yeah.
But what a great story. Because I think of, I'm
going to cry already,
nervous.
Deb.
I know. Poor Kristen. We just tip her over the edge every time.
Same.
But yeah, I struggle with nerves too. And I think, you know, I hope other actors out there are listening and hear that story and go like, look, even Britt Morgan drops lines and still gets the job. Like,
oh my gosh.
It isn't a reflection of your talent or your ability or your career or anything like that. It happens. And, you know, I'm so happy you shared that.
Oh, me too.
I feel it's a reflection on Alan too, because he would show up at the first auditions. Right. Yeah. He didn't let other people, usually you go to other producers or casting directors and then the big guy shows up at the very end. He was there at the beginning and then he saw in you, she can inhabit this character. And then he had you come back. I had a similar thing with him. I didn't drop my lines or anything. I was the same in both auditions, but he wanted to see me twice.
Yeah.
And I think that is very unique.
Yeah.
And we love Alan.
Oh my God. I think it's incredibly unique. Whenever I'm talking to like actors at all and they're getting discouraged on the industry, I remind them that Alan Balls exist. And that it's not all politics. Yeah. That there's an artist out there who creates shows that is actually looking for the best actor and will take a chance on you. And he's an artist. Like he sees the artist in you. It's, I know, I'm sure everyone comes on here and gushes about him, but he changed and he's amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah. And I always think about that with casting directors as well. You know, like casting directors can get villainized sometimes and all that, but every casting director or the majority of casting directors that I've worked with are fantastic. They see talent. They care about hard work. They champion you. So even when maybe you're not right or it doesn't go for one project, they bring you back for another. And that's one of the things I'm really sad about having lost with the pandemic and self-taping is that casting director-actor relationship, because that can make a huge difference in your career.
I couldn't agree more with that, Deb. Could not agree more.
Massive. What a bummer that we are not going into rooms anymore.
Well,
I agree. I'm like, am I the only one who feels like something's lost a bit?
oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's advantages to doing it at home too, but I don't think
There
they're
is.
enough to offset literally that one.
No.
Right? Like literally just a casting
Yeah,
director getting
yeah.
to know you and care about you and your career is that is too big to give up.
Yeah, exactly.
For any of
It is
the
true.
potential quote unquote convenience of taping from home, at least for me. I mean, I like being able to tape on the road. That's nice.
Yes.
But
Yes.
That's nice.
yeah.
I mean, shout out to Junie and Libby.
Yeah.
who we don't talk
Yes.
about a lot because they didn't want to come on the podcast.
They
but
were too shy.
Oh,
They're
no
so
way.
They were too shy.
They were too shy.
They were like, what
were
would we talk
shy.
about? And we're like, everything.
Also, their personality
I
is
know.
so great. Like, how could they would steal the show. I mean, they're amazing.
It'd be our best episode.
It would be.
amazing.
Forget Alexander
I
Skarsgård.
was just
No,
and
forget
Libby.
it.
totally.
Seriously.
Junie and
Yeah.
Libby are unbelievable, responsible for half of my career. And when you
Yeah.
look at how we would have 45 speaking roles an episode, and it was this cadre, I don't even know the word, of this troupe of actors that they had accumulated over the years that they would call on for all these shows. And once you were in, you were in. I mean, I read for them forever.
Yeah.
So big shout out.
Gosh,
So then
man,
you get
huge.
the job, and you had your character.
Oh
had
my God.
Such you got to show all the colors. I mean, she
Well, just
was
challenge after challenge. My
crazy.
God.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Where did
Yeah.
you start?
Addiction,
Like Deb came in with her
Animal,
Yeah.
you know, animalistic, that piece of it.
Yeah.
These relationships. I mean, wow.
Yeah, it was wild. I remember, I was still a young actor. I didn't go to college, right? So I studied a ton. I was in different acting schools in LA, like religiously, but I was still figuring out like what my technique was. And I think because I was so young, I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll be method, and I'll stay in this for 2 years.
Wow.
Like Daniel Day-Lewis. Like that's what I thought.
But
I
at
was
22, you
I-
can do that experiment,
yes,
right?
Totally, you can because I don't have kids. I don't have a family. Like,
Why not?
I have no boyfriend. Like, yeah, sure, yeah, I'll do that.
Alone in my house, I'll pretend to be anything for, like, whatever.
Exactly. My dad was like, "You don't talk to me anymore." I'm like, "Debbie doesn't talk to her dad." So I'm just kidding. It was just so intense. But that being said, I was at AA meetings all the time. I really leaned into the addiction thing. I really wanted to know. I mean, yeah, it's huge. It felt even bigger than the wolf thing. I felt like, well, maybe it wasn't, but to me, that was something I could grab onto in a really deep way. And I was watching that show Intervention constantly, which I gotta be honest, as an actor, never, don't knock YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find so many incredible stories and immerse yourself in people's like vlogs. And I just remember really going so full into that. And if I could go back and do it again, I think I just would have trusted myself a little more. I think I worked myself to death trying to like really inhabit it because I was 22. Yeah. But so and the wolf thing, I don't remember if I did any animal work, but I think I did.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because there's something, I mean, that speaks to me because watching your performance, there's a dangerous in the good way, like, what is she gonna do next kind of quality. And I remember people who worked with you on the show praising you for exactly that they were like, every take, there's this energy that just explodes off of her. And you're like, what's going to happen? Which is what Debbie feels like. So I'm not pro or con any kind of actor process, but it clearly did something for you in this particular
Thanks. I'm so glad it worked. I kind of threw everything in the pot. I'm glad it worked. It felt, I spent most of the time terrified, which I think is what part of like that energy was. I was so, in a way that I don't even know, being so young, I didn't have like a root or a sense of like love in my life. This was everything. at that time, just going and doing like a good job. I think I was so scared that I was able to use, she's so scared. So I think I was able to use my fear as kind of her fear. And you know how that is with
Nerves
acting.
are
It sort of ends up being,
sometimes.
nerves are freaking, fear and nerves
Nerves are helpful.
when you're,
Yeah.
are so helpful. I don't know. That's another thing I lose with self-tapes is I think
Same
it's so
here.
comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too comfortable. And even when I'm playing a character that should not be nervous at all, and I have those nerves, at least there's something brewing underneath that
It translates
is the
into
battery.
something.
It's-
Yeah.
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 It translates.
It's so, I
Yeah,
love hearing
yeah.
that's your experience too,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that adrenaline is really useful. It reminds me of a funny thing that my husband would say when we'd be watching tennis. I love to watch tennis. And there's a couple of some of the world's greatest players. Nadal is the one I'm thinking of. But he has all this stuff. He has a ritual he has to do before every time he serves. And he's got to bounce the ball so many times. I mean, it's OCD land. And then he can't step on the lines, and he's got to touch his head in different places. And it's quite a show. And my husband said it's only weird if it doesn't work. So he does
Totally.
all this stuff, and then no one can return the ball. And you go, oh. So it's only weird if it doesn't work. It worked. Everything that you did worked. It was a fabulous synchronicity.
It really was.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's so sweet. That's wonderful to hear. Yeah.
So
If it works.
let's talk about late nights, blood, and actual hybrid wolves and what that
Oh my
experience is like. Because
gosh.
again, as a young actor, first big job coming into this, it must be like every, that's the thing I always say about True Blood is it was such a great primer as a young actor, because once I finished that show, I had done everything to some extent, right? I'd worked
Totally.
with kids. I'd worked with animals. I'd done blood, prosthetics, stunts, aerial.
Yeah,
like you just do
totally.
everything in a little bit. So nothing really was totally could throw me. So I feel
Yeah.
like for you, like episode 1,
No, totally. Let's just talk about episode 1. All I had done was an ABC Family Show and scenes in acting class. And I was like, oh, there's 4,000 bikers. And I guess I'll be in my underwear and get crowd surfed. That's fine.
no problems.
I can't wait. Let's do it. I can't wait. Oh my God. And the extras were so authentic. They were like in real gang. Like they had been in biker gangs. I don't know where. Extras casting was brilliant for the
They
show.
were so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from that, I think that first day on set was that biker bar, the getting branded, and that set the tone for the next 2 years for sure.
Wow.
It was so
Yeah,
crazy.
Deb
Yeah.
had that too.
Yeah,
Deb's
a
first
big
scene
start.
was her being made,
Yeah.
a big start,
right.
Night shoot.
Not like, an easy, like, two-hander.
No, there's no easy
No.
two-hander for your first time. Yeah.
Throw
it's
you into the
so
fire.
wild. Yeah. I remember looking at you so much, Deb, because you were my age
Yeah.
and being like, oh, I wonder how she's doing.
We never got to work together, really.
We never worked together.
We were the
Yeah, that's
kids.
so
we were
funny.
like the True
We were the
Blood
kid, yeah.
teenagers.
Totally, yeah.
We were just like, oh,
Oh my
we get to
gosh.
be here? Cool.
Cool, yeah, sure.
It's like
Please, yeah.
the junior high schoolers at prom. It's
Oh,
like,
that's what it felt like.
felt
I know.
very like, I don't belong, but I'm excited to be in the corner drinking the punch, Like,
That's exactly what it felt like.
yeah.
Oh my
On
gosh.
some level that I don't belong, because I was like 20 I'm 20 years older than you two, and so I was
You had a
coming at it
big
from a different
resume
place.
too already.
Oh, you were so, I was
I
like, this
did.
lady, this is insane. This woman's amazing.
I knew of you,
Yes.
like, yeah.
But what's funny is that I don't belong thing is a river that just runs in us, because it was still running in me the entire run of the show. Just, it became a joke where Bucky would like to pretend that I was getting killed off. And I think I
my
fell for it about 76 times, because it's just, I think it was Dennis actually at the table read, Dennis O'Hare, for God's sakes.
yeah,
At the
right.
table read, he sat next to me, and I think he said, I wonder who's getting fired. I'm sure it's going to be me. So I just think that we always, to some degree, as actors, I was just thinking as you were telling your story, Britt, that I was like, oh my God, I love actors. I love actors. You know, your first night, you're like, I'm in my underwear. I've come from ABC Family Show, and I'm going to get branded, and I'm an addict on V, and like,
and a werewolf.
Okay.
And my
I'm
ex
a
is
werewolf.
here.
And I'm a wolf.
I know. And my boyfriend is Joe Manganiello, where I'm like, wow, you're beautiful. I want to try and be cool. Oh my God. I mean, just like, it was all just so big.
Yeah.
Like, it was so exaggerated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So big.
Yeah.
It was
Yes,
so big.
so big.
And what did you know about the arc of what your character was going to be? Did you know anything at that time?
I did. I think as soon as I got the job, I went on a big deep dive with the book. So I knew she died in the book.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure. Yeah, she dies in the book. And then so I kind of assumed that was where it was going, but I didn't know they were going to give me so much cool stuff. Yeah, they gave me what I didn't anticipate was the getting clean in season 4. That was what a gift as a young actor to get to do that. Like, yeah, that was really cool.
Oh my gosh. That was so cool that you got to show that other side.
Yeah, it was cool because I was deep in the I made the fatal mistake of reading reviews after the first season, message boards and things, which I will never Actors Beware, don't ever do it, ever. And I haven't done it since because it was a dark moment. But after the first season, there was so much like they only saw the villain in her. And I was and that's not the fault of the writers at all. That's just what people do. They sometimes want to box a character or a woman in. So when I got to do this other side in season 4, it felt like this wonderful justice for the character that I got to kind of reclaim her. And this sounds like so actory and intense, but you know what I mean. Reclaim that kind of innocence and the goodness that is within everyone.
Well, and it
was cool they gave her so much color.
It's a real. There's tragedy to it then as it goes through, and ultimately it isn't just a bad guy getting, what they deserve, or it's like there's real tragedy and loss in it, which is so much more poignant and such more interesting storytelling. And what I think is amazing, and I'm gonna correct you a little bit in saying that the people who felt that way about Debbie Pelt are the people who don't see deeply into character and then go write about it on the internet.
Yes, exactly. So true.
I don't know.
So true. It's the regular. In
rewatching it now, that vulnerability is so clear in her all through season 3. It does not feel just villainous or one-dimensional in the least.
Oh, I'm so glad.
It definitely feels present. And then that's the great thing too, is then it flips, I think, in season 2, or your season 2 in season 4, which is where now we're seeing the clean and sober, vulnerable Debbie, but brewing under there is the wild child. So you just did such a perfect job of like the sand glass, hourglass of Debbie Pelt. I don't know. I'm very impressed.
That's the best compliment. And that is the best compliment ever. Thank you so much. I'm holding that to my heart. I'm giving it to my 23-year-old self because that is like,
she deserves it.
So amazing. Thank you, Deb. Honestly, that's cool. I'm glad that came through.
I want to jump into talking about the wolves because that was the only time we were like on set together, is this one night where there was a big storm with the wolves on Sookie's house. And here's what I remember, the story I remember, and I'd love you to tell it from your perspective and tell us a little bit about then your relationship with these beautiful animals and how that worked on the series. But you were doing a scene where you had to kick down the front door, the 2 wolves would run past you into the house and you entered. And they did like 1 or 2 takes, and then the animal handler came up and said, okay, that we're done now, because the energy coming off of you was exciting the wolf in the way that it was supposed to, I suppose. And one of them had snapped like a little bit near your hand, and the handler would say, that's it. They're too excited. They need to take a break, in care for not only obviously you, but them as well. We don't want any of the participants in the scene to get. So that was such a fascinating moment to one, see how effective your acting was, that even an animal in the scene that didn't know we were acting was, you know, moved by it, and really the reality of what that is.
Yeah, I remember that whole thing. I can't believe you remember that well. Yeah, I was like, that really happened, right? The wolf almost bit my hand. Yeah, it was a big moment, and it just sort of woke me up to the fact that these are real wolves, and I was just so in the make believe of it all. I think I wasn't even scared, and I think after that moment, I was a little more just aware that we're real people. We're alive. I'm Brit, and this is a real wolf. You know, I think I was just so focused on the scene. This is not okay. So exactly. Right. Thank you for bringing that. This is not method. Exactly. That this is not. I'm not like I was so in it. If I was now, if this was 36-year-old, I would. This whole thing would be different. I'd be like, is that a real wolf? Okay, so this is interesting. Like I would be more aware. But at that time, I was just so on. My adrenaline was like crazy, which is why the wolf sensed it. Yeah. Felt it literally. And I remember feeling some kind of way about that. I was like, oh, I'm even I might be too intense for the wolf. Jesus. Like maybe I need to dial it back a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, I wish I could give you more insights. But again, it's like that adrenaline was rushing so much. I don't even remember what I was feeling except a little more scared once I found out it almost bit my hand. Yeah. And
speaking of adrenaline, Anna Paquin said that she had the best time doing her action sequences or fights with you. Yeah. She was just for days like, that was amazing. Yeah. So how was that to work with the Anna Paquin, to come into those scenes with her and then to do the physical stuff too?
Yeah, that actually might have been why I wasn't that focused on the wolves, because I remember having to do the fight scene maybe the next day or like right around there. I think I was just so somewhere else that I was like, I guess it's a wolf. Okay. But that was one of the highlights of the whole show for me, that fight scene with her and working with her, period. I mean, she just was so supportive, so older sister with me. It made the whole thing. It gave me, it made me feel like it made me feel like I belonged. Yeah. It made me feel like I had a place. It gave me confidence. It was everything. If she was more removed or kind of not really, I think it would have just been, I don't know, it just added warmth to the experience for me. And that fight scene was unique. And I've played many villains since True Blood and done many fight scenes, but nothing compares to the amount of time they took. There was a full-on choreography. We got days to learn the choreography for that fight scene. And we shot it over 2 days. Yeah. There was no rushing it. I mean, I'm sure it was rushed as TV always is rushed, but there was no, they took their time. Our stunt doubles were like won Emmys, I think. They're so insane. But doing that fight scene was just like, it was amazing. I remember learning that choreography, being like, I can't believe we got to do so much.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with fight scenes, right? Especially, I mean, you guys were 2 supers. So for the vampires, you know, we didn't get to do the fight scenes really because I would grab someone and throw them 30 feet. Right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So like that's not going to be a person. But if you basically have human strength, you guys both had a little extra, you have to do most of it. So that's interesting. I wonder how many days that took to shoot and how unique that is for a TV show to take that many days to shoot a fight scene. So you were just like, you must have gone home, and how did you get to sleep at night knowing you were—
I did not sleep at night. I was just doing all the punches and the twirls. Yeah. Like I was doing it all day. I mean, it was so much fun. Yeah. It was epic. And
it takes a while to come down. I can just picture, because you had all the fear, so you had all the adrenaline. So for me, it was interesting watching Debbie Pelt in season 3, speaking of those, you know, very vocal minorities that talk against us on message boards. And I fell for it once too, because Moyer said, don't go to the message board. So it was the first thing I did that night. And then was like,
Oh, no. Oh, no.
yeah, he was so right. But I did feel ultimately that I was rooting for Debbie. Like, you weren't just someone who I'm like, please someone kill her, you know? So all of that fear, that adrenaline, you must have every night after work. I don't know how long it took to get to sleep, because we can't just turn ourselves on and off. No,
we can't. I don't remember turning off. Yes. It's living in me at that point. And the heartbreak of her and her vulnerabilities, it all was really, it was really present for most of the time shooting. It never, I think I tried to develop a practice for turning it off, but it was hard. Yeah.
And it's interesting then in the second season, I keep saying second season, your second season in the fourth season.
Yeah.
You know, then the reestablishment of the relationship with Alcide and what that was. What does it mean to trust again? What does it mean? All of that is just an interesting, because I mean, I'll be the bad person on the internet that says he's a bad boyfriend to you that season. He's a bad boyfriend.
Yes.
But because
totally.
you were the one who had quote unquote screwed up before, it's like you're not allowed to say that. I don't know. I saw so much truth in that, and I could see so many real life couples dealing with that same kind of situation. And I don't know, again, for True Blood, for all of its supernatural popcorn eating, you know, fun, there's always that beautiful kernel of grounded reality. And I, again, as you said, I was so happy to see that for you and for Debbie in that story. So yeah, can you remember a little bit how that shifted for you? And now that it wasn't, it was the other side of about recovery. You know, what did that bring out for you in your work?
Yeah, I think it was the other side of recovery that, and kind of still grappling with the shame of who she'd been before, but also I think playing with this whole thing with how she felt about Sookie and like letting that be, it's so crazy. I'm actually tearing up. Like, this is how much like these things remain with us because if you work with them, but like, that, you know, but that like idea that like this girl's perfect. Like, I think that's what Debbie really thought. That's why she had so much vitriol towards her, right? Like this girl is not me. I am a piece of trash. I'm shameful. I'm, you know, all these ideas that we carry that will make her want to, drink V. But I feel like kind of like the comparing herself to Sookie and sort of playing with that, I think. And ultimately trying to befriend her. I'm pretty sure that happened in the later part of season 4. I sat down. Okay, I'm like,
you try.
She genuinely. You know what, Deb? I think just playing on that edge of genuinely trying and how vulnerable that is. She didn't get it right completely. Ultimately, obviously, Debbie does not get it, totally right. But just the vulnerability in trying to make amends and grappling with these edges and the jealousy. And that's so tender because jealousy just comes from a tremendous amount of pain. So it was really, it was like very deep shadow work. That's what the whole entire thing was like with me playing Debbie. It was hard not to have it blend into my own things, because it just gets, you know what I mean? Being like, well, where does this live in me? It has to, right? Chris, I love talking to actors, guys. I'm enjoying this,
I know.
Yeah. Because I think in order to first of all, to walk into an audition room. But then once you get the role, I mean, you have that one moment of elation and then the fear comes back in where you're like, oh my God, now I have to do it over and over again on a set. And then you've got to walk into a set where there are 50 people intimately staring at you. And then there's the directors and the producers that you admire. And then there's what your mind knows about how huge the show is. And to be able to step onto that court, you have to go for it and be actory and methody and whatever you got to do to do this ridiculously insane thing. Like, there are times when I think, it's insane, literally insane that people want our autograph and want to get a picture with us. And there's other times when I think, damn straight, because, you know, this is not normal.
Britt Morgan was Debbie Pelt for 2
normal.
years.
Exactly.
Yes.
She
Debbie
didn't talk to
Pelt
her
was
dad
doing
so
this
that you could
shit.
enjoy
I
True
didn't
Blood.
talk to my
Right?
dad. Okay, exactly.
So that you could enjoy your TV show.
My acting teacher used to say to me, they give Oscars to people when we can feel that it cost them to play this role.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that there is, it's just, you got to do what you got to do. It's only weird if it doesn't work. But
I love that.
all of that we could see in your performance. And it's why you were hired, and Alan Ball could see that, and because he's a genius as well. So
Yeah,
And why you
kudos,
continue to be
kudos.
hired and continue to
Thank
work.
you, guys.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Coming from you two, like I'm almost like kind of like out of body right now that it's you two saying this, because if I could go back in time and be like, Britt, 10 years from now, Deb and Kristen are going to tell you everything you want to know. just, it's going all right. Like, it just
Stay
means
off the
so much
message
because you
boards.
guys
Yeah.
stay off the message boards, Deb and freaking Kristen. Like,
Yeah.
believe, like it's you both just, I can't tell you how much it means.
Well, I
It's
remember
awesome.
that, you know, I think Rutina
all
was
need
also
that.
dealing with some of that at the time. We all were,
Yeah.
were dealing with all of that, because I think for a lot of us, you know, Alan did the unimaginable thing and hired a lot of unknowns. Like, yes, he had Anna
Yes.
Paquin, but really beyond that, a lot of us were none of us are household names, and a lot of us hadn't done a ton.
Right?
And so,
Yep.
you know, we were all kind of grappling with this new visibility. And I remember, I don't know who I was talking with, but, you know, we were all talking about this thing. And someone said, like, look, you know, down here at the bottom is internet troll who doesn't think you're pretty enough, right? And way up here, up towards the sun and the moon, is Alan Ball, right?
Oh my God.
Who thinks that you deserve
Yeah.
to be on the show and deserve to get this great material, and is so excited every time they put together an episode. And they're like, you know, like, why are we measuring those two people at the same,
It's so
you know, with the
Right,
same
right, right,
credence,
right.
you know? Everyone's
it's
obviously
so
entitled to
true.
their opinion, but at the end of the day, for our self-worth, doesn't the person
Yeah.
who is making the show, who has this experience, who has this artistry, shouldn't their opinion matter more, at least to us personally? So I try to hold on to that whenever my inner demons
That's
Yeah,
a
come calling.
very, very, very good point. And, you know, I had a question for you because I saw on Instagram, my internet stalked you.
Oh, yes. I'm honored.
And I saw one of your posts, you were talking about doing a play. You did Chekhov in Love.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, this play was such a transformative experience. It felt challenging and risky and inspiring. I reconnected with something essential inside myself. And
Yeah.
it was a lot of fucking fun.
Oh my God, did I say that? Yes, I did.
What is that connecting with that essential thing that keeps us doing this ridiculous, impossible, incredible profession for you? What is that?
I haven't done a ton of theater, which is why I think was one of the reasons I was so moved by my experience of doing it. I've worked on a lot of plays in classes, but not a full run, you know. I think that sometimes it happens on set. I think True Blood's one of those special experiences where you can get that feeling. But it's like when the material and the everything collide, and I'm no longer in my own way, and I feel really wide. It's like this wide, expansive, like you're the moon, and it's trying to explain. It's a kind of ethereal because that's what it feels like. There's just something flowing through you, and that there is no longer. And it's not all the time. And I think as artists, we want this all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it called? Being in the flow, or it's like channeling or something.
Yes.
And we want it, and it
Yes.
happens sometimes. But I think
Yes.
the essential thing inside myself was just this pure love, this unconditional love. Everything I needed was a couple performances, not all of them, but a couple times,
Yeah.
just everything I needed was available to me in the moment. It's coming through. It feels like channeling, and I'm no longer in my own way. It's like becoming your little self, as like self with a little S to yourself with a big S. It's like the truth with the lowercase t to truth with a uppercase t. It's like acting with a capital A. It's like bigger. It's like something becomes wide and limitless. That's all I can explain. And we all have done it. It happens sometimes, but when it happens in theater, it's like holy.
And I think it's more likely in theater just because of the amount of time you're given with material. It's just easier to get there when things are part of you rather than like, oh, I got this 3 days ago. And, you know, there's something to that. But I had an acting teacher who their metaphor was this. There's something called the Ionian harp, and it's essentially a harp that's built on the top of a mountain, and the wind plays the harp. Nobody plays the harp. The wind goes through the strings and it vibrates them. And they said your job as an artist is to work towards being the harp. So you just sort of exist as exactly who you are in full presence and acceptance of everything that you have to offer and let it pass through you. I was like, oh my God.
Wait, that's literally it.
Right?
Wait, that's literally it.
Ionian harp.
It's keeping that channel open. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's cool.
So much work to get there. Yep.
Right? Oh my gosh, so much work to get there. Right. Yeah. That's so true.
On the top of a mountain is really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
You gotta climb,
it's so true.
You gotta research all the things.
Yes, totally, exactly.
And then you let it go, and then every once in a while, that's it. That's it.
Well, we started with your casting. Before we wrap it up, I'd love to ask about leaving the show and knowing that you were going to be killed off, if that's the, I guess, impolite way to say it, and how you deal with that experience and what that last night on set is like, you know, what you can share about that.
I remember being, you know, there's a version of this where it could have been like, well, I'm graduating college and now I'm going to go off to other things. But in my heart, I knew this was special. And I knew that these did not come, these shows do not come around every day. I knew. So I was sad. and I knew it was coming and I knew I was going to die. And Alan told me in the beginning of the season that this was how it was going to end. And I knew it. And I was really sad and but so grateful. And there was so much love on set. I think I ended it by killing Rutina or something. It was some wild, dark thing I did. Shooting her, right? Not killing her, right? Shooting her, wild, dark thing. I think I was so sad and also simultaneously, I think a little relieved. I think I needed a break from the pressure. As just a kiddo I was, you know what I mean? I was like, okay. But ultimately, I was so sad. And I remember just it being nothing but love and being like on to the next. But I knew there was only going to be one True Blood. I was saying goodbye to like the most special experience. I still sad it's over. It was awesome.
I know. Yeah. I know. Well, look at us. We're doing a podcast talking about how special it was.
Exactly.
It's so weird to miss fiction. Like,
isn't it so?
Like, I talk to Steve Moyer from time to time, but like, I never get to talk to Bill Compton any longer. Right? Like, my daddy is gone. And I miss my daddy, you know? Like,
I miss my daddy.
I will never get to do that. And he was a really real person for me, despite the fact that he was fictional. And I had really strong feelings for him. And he's just gone. And it would be too weird to ask Stephen Moyer
to be my daddy. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I won't do that.
So I got to talk to my actual daddy again after leaving the show. So there's that.
You got your dad back.
I got my dad back.
I lost a daddy.
No, but that that's so sweet. I love that. Oh my gosh.
But it's true. It is weird how much fictional stories inhabit us, you know? And I think even non-actors can relate to that, right? Like we all cry at the end of Forrest Gump. We know it's not real, but we all do because we recognize something in it. So we all have that capacity. And I think, you know, good actors at least are attempting to reach that place of authenticity that comes across. And it is a lot of work.
Wow, guys.
Well, Kristen, do you want to bring us home?
Yeah, I'll bring us home with two things.
Great.
One light and one, you know, a little more heartfelt. So when I was internet stalking you, I typed in your name and I went to IMDb and I'm looking through your resume and I'm seeing Throbbing Hood, Nightmare on Porn Street. One Wife to Give. Pornocchio.
What about Britney Spears? Yeah, Pornocchio is the best one. Yeah. Yeah.
Pornocchio. And I was like, I don't think that something's wrong.
Yeah.
And it took me a while
Right.
to figure out that I had misspelled your name. So there is another Britt Morgan spelled slightly
Yes.
differently.
Yes.
Who's a porn customer. As I saw that you won an award, I actually realized she won an award, and I clicked on what it was for, and it was for like Flint bones, and I'm like, wait, what? I had a good 4 minutes of like an alternate reality before I realized
Britt's career
Brit is
really
not
went a
with two
different
Ts.
direction.
I'm like, wow, this is bizarre. I haven't been in touch with her, but she's got a lot of credits. She's done like 80 movies.
A girl's got to make a buck, Kristen. Please do not. I decided to go into porn.
Costuming, porn.
No, costuming. Yeah. So I came out Britt Morgan with 2 T's, and then someone said, "Wow, like it went to go meet an agent," and they went, "You have quite the resume."
Oh my God.
And I was like, and they were like,
Oh my God.
Brittany, yeah. They said Pornocchio, Britney Spears. I was like, okay. I didn't do those movies, and I realized I had to drop a T.
Yes.
So I did drop a T. Yeah.
We wondered
So
if that
that's
was maybe
how-
why.
We wondered.
Yeah.
We wondered.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Someone
Not
else.
that there's anything wrong with the adult film industry, but it wasn't. I was 18, right? We can't start off with I got to start off with one. We got to do one T.
Right.
1T.
So
Right.
yes.
You got to do 1 T. Yeah.
we got to do one T. One T.
Yeah, that
So
was a
funny.
good move.
Good move. Good move.
So we ask everyone, when you think of your experience on True Blood, what are 3 words that come to mind?
I would say miracle,
Sure.
up leveling, or challenging, and and expansive. That's what I would say.
I know, right? That's 3 words.
I
Dream
think
come
I've gotten a
true.
few-
Wow, guys.
Dream
Yeah.
come true.
Yeah, dream come true. Honestly, 3 words.
Dream come
so good.
true. Oh my
Dream come
gosh.
true.
It's been so fascinating to see the sentiment from across so many people.
Oh yeah.
Where the words are slightly unique to each person, but imparting the same.
Kristen, I was going to say the
content,
exact same
you know,
thing.
yeah.
It's uncanny. And
It
almost
is.
everyone points to it as like a pivotal, like in the true meaning of the word, moment in their career. That something shifted in their artistry, in their job, in some way with this work. So
Yeah.
well,
Chills.
thank you so much, Britt.
We loved connecting with you.
Such a fun hour.
It's
yeah.
so gosh, I love you. This was so beautiful. I loved it
So
too.
beautiful.
Thank you.
That was really fun, fulfilling, guys. I love you both. Thank you so much.
Yeah, love you so much. Thank you for coming on. You and I had this chance in person meeting.
I know.
a few
Yeah.
weeks ago. I hope we can do it again.
Yeah.
The great thing about this podcast has been meeting just so many like-minded artists, whether they designed the set or the costumes or wrote or directed or acted. How many people are just putting their heart and soul into this and get geeky about it with us. So
it's
thanks
really
for getting
special.
geeky.
Thank you. I know we did geek out. I loved it.
We got
Thank you
really
for that.
geeky, and I loved it.
I feel like at home. I love it. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, Deb, we're
I like
both
her so
aglow.
much.
I mean, we're aglow.
We were just
I like her
saying,
so
We were like,
much.
I'm gonna text her before you text her. So now we're gonna fight over Britt Morgan.
Yeah, we're gonna fight over who gets to be her friend.
I mean, I do. I mean, I think she's just a really special presence and energy, and it makes me like, you know, she talked about jealousy in her role. I'm
Yes.
jealous I didn't get to work with her on the show. You know, like experience that at the time, and
Yeah,
especially I think
totally.
for both of us at that age, it would have been an interesting bonding for us. But we'll do it now, so it's gonna be good.
I know. I'm aglow with this
Yeah.
podcast that I get to connect with these people, and it's so deep I can't even put it in a wrap up statement when I'm feeling at the moment. You know, in some point in the interview, she said, I've just left my body. And then after the interview, and you said, let's get together and do theater, she goes, okay, I'm dead. I have those feelings as well right now.
You know, just the
that was great.
What
fun.
A special
that was great
experience
fun.
The show was, and now revisiting it and getting to know people in a different light, and wanting more. Right, like every single one of these interviews leaves me wanting more. And
totally,
this interview with Britt has just absolutely clarified that, because it's all I'm feeling. I just want more Britt.
Yes, I know. I want more. It's connection, right? We were all there together.
Next week on Truest Blood, we're jumping into season 4 of the series, and we are sitting down with one of my personal heroes. He's been a mentor for me in many ways, Scott Weiland. Anytime someone asks me about my favorite directors, he is always top of that list.
He is, I mean, try to name a show that he hasn't directed. It's impossible. And he has literally more Emmys than I could count, because he has produced, created, and directed so many massive, iconic shows. Like, there's too many to list. Deadwood, My So-Called Life, 30-something he created. You just got to tune in.
So thanks for listening, Troopies. Subscribe and follow wherever you listen to your podcasts, and we'll see you next week.
Y'all come back now, you're here.
Truest Blood is produced by Safe Haven for HBO. Executive producers are Janina Gavankar, Kristen Bauer, and Deborah Ann Wool. Our producer is Gabrielle Gallon, and our audio producer is Christopher Wool. Our theme song was recorded just for this podcast by Jace Everett. Additional music was composed by Timo Chen. And remember, you can watch all of the original episodes of True Blood on Max.